Who, what, where, when, and why? These are the questions that normally are answered with our topics. But today's show will reveal that you can have the who, what, where, and when, but the most important that will drive all of these is the why. Without the motivation revealed, the rest will not make sense. Hello, my conspiracy nuts, and you know who you are. This is Byron Dice, and you're listening to Let's Get to the Bottom of That podcast, probably the best show on the internet, where each week I am joined by Mike and Jason. And we will cover a topic that's been left out in the public square unattended and covered with questions from the official story. Today is episode 16, JFK. If you're a critical, free thinker, get your tinfoil hats on, sit back and relax, and let's get to the bottom of that. Dice Man Enterprises exclusively presents a talk show that will get to the bottom of things once and for all. And now here's your host for Let's Get to the Bottom of That, three weirdos on a mic. What is up? Three weirdos are back. I'm your host, Byron Dice. Welcome back to the studio, Jason and Mike.
What's
Hello.
up, man?
Okay, today, let's just go over some housekeeping right here. Yesterday, we released a show, the Flat Earth episode. First, let me tell you this. Last week's episode, I mentioned, hey, we've done every one of the shows that I mentioned in the intro. Sasquatch, Flat Earth, the moon landing. But we forgot one, which is today's show. JFK's mentioned in there as well. Oh. I wanted to correct that because we said we had covered them all. JFK is the last one in the intro anyway.
For 2022.
Right. This is the last show of 2022. Oh, the show was released yesterday. Merry Christmas. We just got through Christmas. Time and temperature check is it's 12/31, 2022. It's 9:43 in the morning, somewhere in the Midwest in an undisclosed location.
Some basement.
And it is currently 41 degrees and cloudy. So, yesterday we released Flat Earth. And today is New Year's Eve.
Byron, I'm going to stop you right there.
Go ahead.
Just let them know where we're exactly at. We are in the Denver airport underneath.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yeah.
That should probably be a show in itself.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
I wanted to give a shout out real quick to a friend of mine in Texas. His name's CW Camp. He actually posted on our, he actually did one of our Q&As on our episode. What was this episode? Big Tech. The question was, have you ever experienced censorship? And he said, yes, Fake Book a few years back. So shout out to you, Camp. Appreciate you listening. Also, I wanted to mention, Jason, you pushed out our YouTube channel a couple of weeks ago, Big Tech. I can see that because I've got 24 views on that particular episode.
That's right. Nice.
Everything else is just kind of spotty.
Yeah,
so if you could keep doing what you're doing on YouTube, we can go from there. Also, I want to tell you, we got a couple, since you did that, we had a couple of more subscribers. Matt Meyer, Treasure Hunt KC, The Eyes for Truth, and Nathan, I can't pronounce that last name, somebody in Russia. But anyway, appreciate you guys subscribing. Tomorrow, yesterday.
Let me shout out to Matt Meyer. Thank you.
Oh, is that our sub? Is that our sub? Thank you. Okay, so that's a friend of yours.
That's a friend of mine.
Okay, cool. Yesterday, now here's what's strange. I want to go ahead and tell you this. I usually will promote our show when it's released on Fridays. I'll do some kind of Instagram, Instagram recording, reminding everybody. I'll usually do a 60-second clip, a snippet, a sample of the show, something that's usually witty or funny, something to grab people's attention and go, hey, I want to listen to more of that. But yesterday I did something different I haven't done before. I actually posted a picture of the thumbnail. No video, no audio recording, just a picture of the thumbnail. I've never done that, which yesterday's thumbnail was globe or flat earth, and I had two pictures.
Right. Yep. I've seen that, yeah.
Okay, so I posted that. And
that's it.
I've
nothing
never,
else.
right. That was right before the show was going to go out.
Whew.
And my question was, get ready for the new episode. Where do you think we live? ? And then the picture.
Okay.
I've never done that before since we were 15 episodes in. Mm-hmm. I've never done that. I usually do audio or video.
Yeah.
So I got the most comments just from the picture.
Really?
So I think I'm going to start maybe doing the thumbnail first, just to get some engagement. So yesterday, I got a lot of likes on it. And then the first comment was from somebody called Eagle Patriot. Mm-hmm. Okay. He said, how is this even a debate? Look at the state of the bottom image.
And the bottom image.
And then a laughing emoji.
And the bottom image is the flat earth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I don't know what he means by the state. Does he mean like...
Because it looks ridiculous.
Yeah, he just is saying...
That looks ridiculous. Stop it, guys.
So, in the laughing emoji. Okay, then Murat 211 Can liked a photo. He just liked it. Jason West 468 liked it. And then Jason West commented and said, if any retard thinks we live on a spinning ball and water sticks upside down because of the moon, they clearly need a 15th booster for an invisible virus. Laughing emoji.
15. I mean,
is that one of your guys?
There are a lot of boosters out there.
So apparently, because we already came to our conclusion of the show, so we're a bunch of retards.
I'll take it. I've called the worst. It's
okay,
right.
So through the selfie glass. That's the name of the person.
Did they go back and forth? Like, this is just a thread of people going back and forth?
Yeah, Jason West commented, and then so through the selfie glass commented and tagged Eagle Patriot that said, this isn't a debate. Look at the state of the image. He said, Eagle Patriot, that's not flat earth, pal. That's what you've been tricked into thinking flat earth is.
Wow.
The flat earth is an enclosed system. Outer space simply does not exist. If you want to make up your own mind in an honest manner, then look up 200 Proofs the Earth's Not a Spinning Ball by Eric Dubé on YouTube.
Yep.
That was through the selfie glass posted that.
That's before we put out the episode.
That was just the picture.
I like it.
Those guys are going to be pretty disappointed with the conclusion we came to.
Eagle Patriot commented back through the selfie glass and said, Eric Dubé, laughing emoji.
Wow.
That was it right there. And then Eagle Patriot, through the selfie glass, commented back to Eagle Patriot, that's your response? You go through life like that? What a waste.
Mm-hmm. Dude, it's a hot topic.
It's tough out there on the Instagram.
Eagle Patriot commented back to through the selfie glass. Sorry if you actually had an open mind. You can find many videos of him being debunked years ago. It's absolutely hilarious that you think Dubé is correct. And then through the selfie glass commented back at Eagle Patriot. He said, which part? What was debunked and how? Eagle Patriot commented back, go find them and see for yourself, open your mind, and look at the evidence. And then Mickey Moo commented, flat.
Okay.
So that was yesterday's little Instagram tussle, what I call a tussle, I don't know. But I've never had that kind of engagement just from a photo. And I've never posted just the thumbnail of the photo out on Instagram.
We don't even know these guys.
But I mean,
no, I was trying to think, are these your guys that you're talking about?
I have no idea. Maybe
the flat Earth versus ball Earth. That's a heated topic. So the engagement.
Yeah, and we discussed that on the show. That was the heated topic. Everybody was in camps, and they were kind of passionate about it.
A lot of people have died for it. It's true.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They fell off the ice wall.
Why do you think the Russians are invading Ukraine? Russians think
because they got over the ice wall? I don't know.
Russians say it's a flat Earth, and the Ukrainians saying no, it's a globe. That's what's going on.
Oh, that's what's happening. Yes. So the whole war is over flat Earth or a globe.
Absolutely.
Wow. I could see it.
Today's show is every time I talk about one of the topics we're going to talk about, I say this is one of the biggest ones out there. But this one is one of the biggest ones out here, JFK.
Oh, yeah.
I said that about the moon landing because there's so many that are top tier. Mm-hmm. I would say, just say top 10. We've 15 episodes in, top 10. This is one of the top 10s.
Easily.
Of conspiracies that people have talked about for years.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what's funny is the moon landing was in his era.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Am I right?
He wanted to do the hard things and
right
go
before,
to the moon.
Yep.
So real quick background before we get into JFK. I'm just going to give you a brief overview. Mike's got a lot of material. Jason's got some weird stuff going on over here about some reports that he found under a basket outside the book depository. But we'll get into it. John Fitzgerald Kennedy, May 29th, 1917. That's when he was born. And he died November 22nd, 1963, often referred to by his initials, JFK, and his nickname was Jack. He was an American politician who served as the 35th president of the United States from 1961 until he was assassinated in 1963. Kennedy was the youngest person to assume the presidency by election. He was also the youngest president to end his tenure. Kennedy served at the height of the Cold War, and the majority of his work as president concerned relations with the Soviet Union, Cuba. He was a Democrat. Kennedy represented Massachusetts, love saying that, in both houses of the U.S. Congress prior to his presidency.
How old was he when he became president?
Let's see. He was, 61.
He was 61.
No, he wasn't 61.
I was gonna say,
that wouldn't be the... no, he was elected in 61. So I don't know how old he was.
He was a young guy.
Somebody looked that up. Who's it, Jamie? Jamie looked that up for me.
Jamie, pull that up.
So what we're going to discuss today is, of course, who killed JFK.
Yes.
Because there's so many inconsistencies, specifically the Warren Commission that came together.
43.
He was 43 years old.
Inaugurated at 43.
Specifically, the Warren Commission that came together and decided, this is the story that we want to tell to the public. Isn't it funny how after big things that people want answers to, we get the government have some kind of commission that comes together and decides, here's the story that y'all should believe.
Right.
Yeah. Isn't it? Because we just had it with the 9/11 Commission.
We need a commission about the commission.
We don't need commissions anymore.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like they always get it wrong. So,
well, it seems like they start with a story that they want to tell, and then all the evidence, they have to make it match the story.
Yeah.
Instead of taking the evidence and going, oh, here's what happened.
Yeah, exactly. They start.
The evidence should tell the story.
Yeah, they start with the conclusion that they want and try and work
move
backwards. Yeah.
And it just doesn't work.
Which they did really well with the JFK.
Now, let me say this before Mike gets into his monologue, his entourage. This is no longer a conspiracy theory.
No.
The Warren Commission and the stuff that they said happened has already been uncovered and debunked.
And reversed.
So this is, So we're not talking about, oh, we think the earth is round or flat or we didn't go to the moon because we don't have proof. No, there's evidence that proves what they stated is not true.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Correct. Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you have for us today, Mike?
So where should we start exactly? I guess we can.
Let's start. Yeah, where should we start?
Okay.
Should we start with Oswald or Kennedy himself?
Let's set the stage a little bit. So you talked about the assassination. You mentioned that JFK died on November 22nd, 1963.
Yeah.
So he was assassinated on that date at 12:30 p.m. in Dallas, Texas, while riding through a presidential motorcade through Dealey Plaza. Okay. And just for the visual, he was riding in the back of the presidential limousine with his wife, Jackie. In front of them sat John Connally, the Texas governor, and his wife, Neely. And then in the front seats were Secret Service agents William Greer, who was driving, and Roy Kellerman. Those were the two guys in the front seat. So that's everybody.
Okay, front seat. And then we've got John what kind of limo was this?
Then you got, they call it a limousine, but it really was just it's kind of a long convertible. Yeah. But they referred to it as the presidential limousine.
So the back, there was like room for two people.
Yeah.
So there was like a double seat in the back.
There's 3 rows of seats.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
And they all face forward.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, so that's what the car looked like. And we mentioned the Warren Commission a few minutes ago. So what the Warren Commission is basically that was set up by Lyndon B. Johnson after the assassination happened. And the reason it's called the Warren Commission is because the chairman is Earl Warren.
Thank you. I was wondering why.
Yeah, he was the Chief Justice of the United States at the time, and we can go through the members. It was 7 guys. So Earl Warren, and then there was Richard Russell Jr., who was a Democratic U.S. Senator from Georgia, John Sherman Cooper, who was another senator, a Republican from Kentucky, Hale Boggs, who was a U.S. representative and the House Majority Whip, he was a Democrat from Louisiana.
Sound like an MMA fighter.
Yeah. Gerald Ford, Republican from Michigan.
Heard that name before.
Yeah, he was a U.S. representative at the time and later would be the 38th president of the United States. He was the House Minority Leader. Alan Dulles, former Director of Central Intelligence and head of the Central Intelligence Agency. And
what?
Yeah, so CIA head.
Okay, that's weird.
Yep.
They were on the commission?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
CIA? Okay.
How convenient.
Yes. And the CIA actually lobbied really hard to get one of their guys in there. So that's who they got in there. And then John J. McCloy, who was the former president of the World Bank.
Wait.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
So we got CIA
You just dropped
in
some
there.
bombs on
We
us.
got CIA in there. We got World
The
Bank in
World
there.
Bank?
Yeah. So
Let's tell the story, boys.
Hey, so I had a friend ask me this question this week. He said, when I think about conspiracies, I always ask the first question: Where does the money lead you? Or is there the reason money? And it seems to always be yes.
That's normally money.
Yeah. Money.
Yep.
Somebody's going to profit
Yes.
from whatever's going to happen.
Right. And, we're going to be starting up a series on secret societies and stuff like that, looking into, all these different things, all the deep state people and stuff like that. It seems like there's always, like deep state puppets involved with this stuff, which when you look at Alan Dulles, CIA director or head of the CIA, and then this John McCloy guy who's the president of the World Bank. It's like those 2 guys, to me, that's red flags.
It's already red flags.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so that's kind of setting the stage on who the Warren Commission was and who established them and all these things.
And a reminder, these people were put together by whom?
Lyndon B. Johnson. Yep.
Why would he go along with this?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Yep. And so right after JFK was assassinated, Lyndon B. Johnson was automatically made president because he was the vice president.
Vice president, right.
Yep. Okay. All right. So should we just get into the analysis now?
Yeah. So since you mentioned the motorcade, so we're driving through Dallas, or what was the city? What was?
Yeah, Dallas, Texas.
Okay, Dallas, Texas.
Dealey Plaza.
Where should we start? So he's driving through there. We've seen the footage. What's the name of that footage?
The Zapruder film.
So now that hadn't came out until I don't know when that came out.
That came out years after, because all they had were still images at first, and the still images they tried to paint the narrative that he got shot from the back.
Yes,
but when they saw the film, they had to change their story and say, "Oh, actually, it's not. We got shot from the front."
Yeah,
and so now we have multiple shooters.
So they did. So they acknowledged that because of the film, there is a shot from the front.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I thought they were still going with the story of the back of the head was not an exit wound.
They couldn't at that point.
Okay, because, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, because the film showed, and even people tried still to debunk that there was a shot from the front, but just the way the footage had him, it entered him through the front. He hit the chair back, and then bounced forward. So that's why they assumed that it came from the back, from the rear, because when he bounced forward, it made it look like that's what happened with the still shots, because that's all they got in still shots.
Yep.
Yeah, in the footage, it looked like he was kind of slumped for a minute. Like, I just got hit, and I'm kind of disabled right now. And then all of a sudden, boom, the headshot.
Yep. And one thing that I found in my research is JFK had like a back injury, so he was often wearing like a back brace. So he wasn't able to like slump all the way forward. So people think he was hit the first time and then slumped as far as he could, but the back brace was kind of holding him up. And then, the shot from the front.
Well, let's just talk about this. Since we're talking about the motorcade, let's talk about the first bullet.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about the shot.
Let's talk about the bullets.
Yeah, and Jason kind of mentioned that, the Zapruder film kind of busted it wide open and made it obvious that the shot from the back isn't what what did it, but we'll talk about the shot from the back because that was what they went with forever. And you can see even at that time before the film was looked at, you can see how it was obvious that isn't what happened. They just kind of wanted to stick Oswald with this.
Right, because even the autopsy, which we can get into in a minute, that whole thing was strange. The way they kind of went around the medical examiner that was supposed to do.
Yes.
They kind of took the body and said, nobody's going to look at this. We're getting him to D.C.
Yeah.
And
which is illegal in Texas law.
Right, which I don't understand how they got away with this kind of stuff.
Yeah. And we can totally get into that because
So the first bullet, do we know what the first bullet was? It front, back?
Yes.
Where did it hit? Do we have a slug?
Yep. So we'll be talking about 3 bullets. So the reason we're going with 3 is because in the 6th floor of the Texas Book Depository Building, they found 3 shells. So that is what the Warren Commission limited themselves to in their search, because if we started talking about more than 3 shots, that would indicate some sort of conspiracy, multiple shooters, and they were not willing to go there. So 3 shots is what we're going to be talking about because that's what the Warren Commission went with.
Okay, hold on. Let me stop you right there for a sec.
Okay.
So we found 3 shell casings, but were there other evidence? Was there any evidence on the ground of any more than 3 bullets?
Like shell casings?
Like slugs.
Oh,
so we've got penetration of the body.
Right.
Were there anything else? Was there any other evidence that there was more than 3? I guess that's what I'm asking you.
Okay.
Not casings, but actual slugs or evidence. Because we've got the evidence of the body, the head, and something about the curb. They never uncovered any slugs, right?
Right. So let's talk about those 3 shots, and I guess to answer your question about is there good evidence for more than 3 shots? I would answer yes to that. Not because we found slugs, but just because of the amount of damage that was done to the people in the car.
And also the testimonies of individuals that were there.
Yes.
They interviewed several civilians that were right next to the car.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, there were more shots.
So they heard shots.
Yes, they heard shots. They're like, we heard shots and we didn't know it was finished because we covered our kids, put them on the ground.
Yeah.
There's interviews, there's footage of these civilians testifying to that.
Okay. Yep. So we heard more shots. Right. We only found 3 shell casings. But did we ever find slugs? Because usually forensics will pull slugs out of walls. Like if I shot you through the shoulder, they want to find where that slug is in the wall behind you. Or if it's in your body still.
Yep. So
did we find slugs?
A bunch of shady stuff went on with the autopsy. They couldn't even find a slug in JFK. So a bunch of weird stuff happened. So the answer to your question might be kind of difficult to arrive at.
But I know it's difficult, but nothing on your research or nobody's found slugs. Is that what we're saying?
I don't think so.
Okay.
So yeah,
then I think that was a cover up.
I think so too.
Because surely it was going to be in the car.
You'd see something, right?
You'd see a slug in the floorboard or the engine block.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to stop at some point.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So yeah, let's talk about the 3 shots. So the first one is thought to be the bullet that went into Kennedy's back. Okay. So that was the first shot. The third shot, or the second shot, is one that missed entirely. Missed its target completely. So that one was, missing and hitting a curb and actually injuring somebody nearby. Yeah. So that was the second shot, a total miss. And then the third shot went into Kennedy's head from the back. So that's what the Warren Commission said, the three
shell casings. Okay.
Yep. So keeping in mind, we're only looking at those 3 shots, and one of them went into his head. One of them missed completely. Now we're talking about something called the single bullet theory, which was brought forth by Arlen Specter, who was a Warren Commission junior counsel. He came up with that. And basically what the single bullet theory postulates is that The bullet went into Kennedy's back, came out his neck, and then went into Connolly's back, so that's the governor of Texas, piercing his lung, destroying 4 inches of the 5th right rib, exiting from the front of his chest, and then going into the back of his wrist, shattering the distal end of the radius, and then exiting from the front of his wrist and going into his left thigh. So just bouncing all over the place like a pinball.
Okay.
And one bullet did all that.
Okay, I got it.
So let's stop there.
Yeah.
But no slug. It wasn't in his thigh?
That's a good question. I think maybe they found it in his thigh.
So
do we have any confirmation of that?
I don't. Senator Richard Russell, the gentleman that was on the commission.
Yeah.
Right. He said he called President Johnson, and this is with the same info about the one bullet theory.
Okay.
He said, "This is Senator Russell. The commission believes that the same bullet that hit Kennedy hit Connolly." He said, in quote, "Well, I don't believe that." President Johnson said, "I don't either." And Richard said, "And so I couldn't sign off on what Governor Connolly had testified directly."
Yep.
That's a conversation that's recorded. Those are audio tapes.
Okay.
Those are audio tapes between Richard Russell and President
I
Johnson.
don't believe it.
President Johnson said, "I don't believe this nonsense. That one bullet hit Kennedy and also the governor."
Right.
So you have the president saying that doesn't make sense, but they still went with this one bullet.
Yeah. And the one bullet thing doesn't make sense. To get back to what you asked a minute ago about finding a slug, right? So this is what's referred to as the magic bullet because of all the things we just said.
Yeah.
The theory is it did all this stuff. One bullet did everything.
You're right. Okay.
And they supposedly found the magic bullet on a stretcher. Okay. And
it wasn't a slug, though, was it?
No. It was actually a very pristine bullet, and ballistic experts have studied this bullet, which had very, very little damage to it, and compared it to the same type of round after shooting it at cadaver wrists, so like dead bodies' wrists. They were shooting at it with the same type of caliber round. And in every case, the rounds that were fired at the cadavers, the rounds were like damaged considerably, like what you see on a slug that hits something. It flattens out and,
any type of damage.
Bullet slug.
Yes.
Any type of damage.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
That's how a bullet gets stopped.
Yep. Exactly. So, first of all, it doesn't make sense on its face right there, right? No damage to the bullet. And also, if the bullet did all that stuff, how are they finding it on a stretcher? So what they sort of explained there is that it was actually in Kennedy's back, and when they put Kennedy on the stretcher, it fell out of his back.
It kind of fell out of the same hole.
Yeah, like a car going in reverse. It just came right out and fell there. But how is it in his back if
it's in Kennedy's leg? I mean, if it's in
Connolly's leg.
Connolly's leg.
Right. So
was Connolly? He survived, right?
Yeah, he survived.
Yeah.
Wouldn't he go? This is just crazy to me. How this is just bonkers.
So
this story.
Wouldn't he say, "Hey"?
Wouldn't he say, "Hey, there's a slug in my leg. Can y'all get this out of me?"
So here's what he said after the fact. He said, "This is what John Connolly said." The governor.
Okay.
He says, "I never believed a word of the Warren Commission report.
What?
Didn't believe Oswald fired the fatal shot. Never spoke out though." And they said, "Well, why didn't you?" "Because I love this country and we needed closure at that time."
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's lame to me.
That is.
That's closure with a lie.
Yeah,
or trying to cover something up.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was threatened. He probably was threatened.
Oh, probably.
Yeah,
yeah.
His political career probably would have been
I just wish I could go back and Connolly. That's the key right there because he was alive. Mm-hmm. He went somewhere, and if the bullet was still in his leg. Okay, the bullet. I got to pull this bullet out of me. Where did that medical procedure happen? You know what I'm talking about?
Presumably at Parkland Hospital.
Where's the doctor? Or where's the guy that said, they brought him in and I had to get the forceps and pull a bullet out of his leg? Or was there an exit wound in his thigh?
I don't think so. I think it ended in his thigh.
Yeah. See? Where's the guy that pulled the bullet out?
Yep. And there's
the slug.
Yeah. And it gets kind of hard to keep all this stuff straight because the story is so bonkers that
it's
they went
so
and,
strange.
And it changes.
Yes.
It changes. And keeps on changing.
So we talked about how the magic bullet was so pristine, right? So let's talk about the chain of custody of that bullet.
Oh, my gosh.
So chain of custody, just to define our terms here, is basically like, let's say I have a piece of evidence and then I give it to Byron. We need to sign off on that to keep track of where the evidence was.
Exactly.
To make sure that the evidence that we have at the scene of the crime that arrives, in court later that month is the same piece of evidence.
Right.
We keep track of all the exchanges.
And that way, because you know that, you feel kind of safe that I know this is going to end up in the right place when I gave it to Byron.
Yep.
Now, if it doesn't, then you've got questions.
Right.
Like I handed that to Byron. Why is it not in court? Why is it missing?
Right.
Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So the chain of custody it started off in Daryl Tomlinson's hands. He was Parkland maintenance at Parkland Hospital. And then it went to O.P. Wright, Parkland personnel. And then after those two guys, it went to Richard Johnson, which is Secret Service. He gave it to James Rowley, which is the Secret Service chief. And then remember these last two guys. So it went from James Rowley to Elmer Lee Todd, who's an FBI agent. And then from Elmer Lee Todd, it went to Robert Frazier in the FBI lab. So those last two guys are going to be important.
Okay.
How many hands did this go through? Jeez.
Yeah, 6.
Before you go there, so a janitor?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's let me just lay the plan out for you. Whoever put this on a stretcher was like, somebody's going to find. We'll just put it down. Somebody will find it.
Yeah.
And turn it in.
Just throw it,
just
Bill, just
throw
throw
it
it on
down.
the floor, Bill.
Yeah.
Throw it on the floor. Just find it.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
And then a homeless man picked it up, gave it to the janitor. The janitor gave it to a teacher.
So they absolutely had no clue that janitor was going to pick it up. They just knew somebody would find it and go, oh, the president got killed. Look at here. Here's a bullet.
Right.
This needs to go to somebody.
So
could this bullet be for the shot? Nah,
Hey.
throw it on the ground.
Yeah, so there was an investigator, John Hunt, who was asking, the question, they called it CE 399. That's the magic bullet.
That's right. Yeah, I remember that.
Is that the same bullet that was found on the stretcher? He's asking that question. And he was looking through all the records that were declassified, and he found that Robert Frazier, so the last guy from the FBI lab, he signed for the bullet at 7:30 p.m. on the night of the assassination, which is November 22nd, 1963.
Okay, gotcha.
The guy before him, though, Elmer Lee Todd, he received the bullet at the White House, and also in writing, he stated clearly that he received the bullet at 8:50 p.m. the night of the assassination. So how is that possible? Someone is clearly lying about when they got the bullet because, Elmer Lee Todd is saying he got it at 8:50, and then he gave it to Robert Frazier, but Robert Frazier is saying he got the bullet at 7:30. So there's a huge time discrepancy.
Wow.
There, right?
Where were both these guys? In D.C.?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Elmer Lee Todd received it at the White House, and then he gave it to Robert Frazier at the FBI lab, which allegedly is nearby.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that time jump doesn't make sense.
I would think it would go to the lab before they just.
Well, why is it going to the White House?
Yeah, so Elmer,
hey, look what they found on a stretcher.
Yeah, so Elmer Lee Todd was the first
so
FBI
dumb.
guy to have it at the White House, and then he gave it to the FBI lab. That's what he says. But another interesting thing is everyone who had it, like the Secret Service chief, all these people, Robert Frazier in the FBI lab, they all initialed the bullet.
The actual bullet?
Yes. Yeah.
Are you supposed to?
Apparently. Yeah, so they
I don't
all
know if that's.
Or they just, hey, this is going to be a souvenir one day. I'm going to put my initials on
and
it.
Elmer Lee Todd's initials are not on the bullet. Everyone else's is. So Elmer Lee
maybe he just didn't want to.
Maybe
it ran out of space.
Maybe he thought, this is weird, guys. I'm not going to do
Look,
that.
why do you want me to initial that? I'm not putting my.
Yep. So we have a huge discrepancy with the chain of custody on the magic bullet, right? First of all, it's mysterious that it was found on a stretcher.
First of all, the pristine bullet doesn't make sense, and now we have this whole, hey, let's pretend like it's going somewhere and it's real,
And
then they screw that up.
And then we'll sign it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then they screw that up.
Yep.
Can y'all get your story? Just give me a good story.
Yeah, they're trying to.
I mean,
so the bullet's weird. The rifle is also weird.
Oh yes, I saw that. Completely different.
Yes.
In the photographs
It was different.
Yeah. So is the rifle in evidence the same rifle that Lee Harvey Oswald allegedly.
No.
Yeah. So let's.
It is not.
Yeah, exactly. So Oswald allegedly obtained a rifle through Klein's sporting goods store in Chicago using the alias Alex Heidel, according to a U.S. postal money order. And it was a mail order through American Rifle Magazine.
I love that.
Yep. So he
mail order.
Yep. So he wrote on the coupon that he wanted a 36-inch model Mannlicher Carcano rifle, which is 6.5 millimeter for.
Did you say Mannlicher?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Mannlicher.
All right.
Yeah. Yep, but Mannlicher, yes. Mannlicher Carcano 6.5 millimeter for
What's up with these names?
for $19.95. How about
What?
That? How about that price? That's a fair
That's
price.
awesome.
How much was it?
$19.95.
And I love that you can get it through the mail.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can't go on Amazon and order a rifle, can I?
You can't. No.
See what I'm saying? Those are good times.
Yeah.
Let's bring those back.
Yep. So very weird. So Robert Frazier, getting back to him, he was one of the examiners and a ballistic expert for the FBI. He testified that he did measure the rifle that was in evidence, and its overall length from barrel to stock is 40.2 inches. So that's a 4.2 inch difference between the one
That's huge.
yeah, between the one that Oswald ordered and what they found in the book depository. Interesting, right? Additionally, the strap.
Whoa.
Okay.
The one they did find
Yeah.
is different from the one that's in evidence?
So the one that they found,
In
that's the one in evidence, but the one that
okay.
Oswald ordered
Okay, gotcha. It's different.
is a different gun.
Okay.
So you probably have heard of like the backyard photos. I'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So additionally, the strap attachment points on the rifle that Oswald ordered showed that they were located on the bottom of the barrel and stock.
Yep.
And photos of the gun found at the crime scene show that the strap attachment points on the rifle were located on the left
side.
Yeah, the left side of the weapon. And the backyard photos, which is like photos that Oswald's wife took of him in his backyard holding the rifle, show that the strap attachments were on the bottom. So his gun is not what they found.
Yeah. So
Right.
it was wrong.
It was
That's wrong.
planted.
Yeah. So
It was definitely planted.
yep. So bullet looks weird. Rifle looks weird. Not a lot is adding up at this point.
Okay. All right, let me just wrap my head around this for a second. The Warren Commission is going off of all of this stuff that we found in evidence that is weird.
Yeah.
So we got 3 shell casings and a rifle that doesn't match the rifle that Oswald had purchased, but they're saying it is Oswald's.
They're saying that. Yeah.
How do they know? Because of the photographs?
That's
Is that the only thing they're going on?
That's what Arlen Specter was saying. He's like, we know that it's his because we have photos of him holding it. They were using like the backyard photos as strong evidence that it's his, but it's a totally different rifle.
Now, so here's what I'm trying to figure out. Why, if this is so weird and inaccurate, how could the Warren Commission even come up with this and have people believe it?
Because
If
the public's stupid.
Yeah, and it's also very convenient that they didn't have to go to court because Lee
Oh
Harvey
my
Oswald,
gosh.
Yeah, Lee Harvey Oswald
Yes.
was killed 2 days after the assassination. Very
Conveniently by, we'll get into that guy.
We'll get into Jack Ruby shortly. But also kind of just going in with this gun thing. So there's a guy named Sebastian Latona who's a forensic expert, and he testified to the Warren Commission that he was not able to find any prints on the weapon either. So the gun that they found, they couldn't find any prints of, Lee Harvey Oswald on the gun.
No prints on the casing.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
Which you have to put that in with your
Right.
thumb and index finger,
yeah.
unless you're wearing gloves.
You know when they arrested Oswald, they didn't charge him with the death of JFK. They never did.
Well-
And when he was in front of reporters, there's video of him being in front of reporters, and they're saying, "Have they charged you? What did they charge you with?" And he goes, "They haven't charged me with anything yet. They haven't charged me. They said they didn't charge you with the murder of the president." And he goes, "No, they haven't said anything about that yet."
Well, I did see him, and he said, I didn't kill anybody.
Yeah,
Yeah, he said
And he
was
said, I'm a
patsy.
patsy. He
Yeah.
used that word,
Yeah.
patsy.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
And he was.
Absolutely.
Yes, I think
So I think the gun was planted.
Mm-hmm.
The shell casings were just dropped there to go, hey, we're going to go with 3 bullets on this one.
Mm-hmm.
And then wherever the shooters were, I need y'all to get 3 shots off.
Right.
And I hope this works. I hope y'all can do a headshot
Right.
because y'all got to make this thing work. Because I got 3 shell casings up here with a rifle.
Right.
And then why? The other thing is, why would Oswald? That's just stupid. Why would you shoot 3 shots from that window, drop your rifle, and take off? Take your rifle with you.
Right.
He wanted to throw it on the ground. Oops, they'll find the bullet here too.
Hey, they'll find. Okay, so I heard a story. Since we're kind of on Oswald, can you talk briefly about the witnesses that came out after the Warren Commission? The 2 ladies that went down from because they said he went down from the 6th floor.
Yeah, so that's a good question. So we know the weapon looks like it isn't his. There's weird things going on with the bullet. Now, was Oswald even on the 6th floor? That's the question, right? So they have the shells up there. They have the gun up there. So clearly the shooter was on the 6th floor. That's what the Warren Commission's telling us. And now we have the corroborating testimony of 3 women, actually. So we have Vicki Adams, Sandra Stiles, and Dorothy Garner, all 3 of which worked in that building, the book depository building. And all of them were on various different floors of the building when this happened. And they all gave corroborating testimony saying who they saw coming down the stairs of the book depository building. And, they're all like, okay, I saw her. And all of them told the same story. None of them saw Oswald. And they would have saw him if he was on the 6th floor.
From the time the 3rd shot was fired, I'm running down the stairs.
Right. Yeah. So we can't even, using, the testimony that was provided, we can't even put him on the 6th floor.
We can't even put him in the building.
No.
Yeah.
Where did they find him again? It was in a theater, right? Watching Gone with the Wind?
I can't remember where they found him.
It was on the moon.
But
right.
Yeah.
I think it was a theater. Let me look that up real quick.
Yeah, check that out. But yeah, that provides powerful evidence that Oswald was not on the 6th floor at the time of the shooting. So go ahead.
Hasn't there been 4 attempts of assassination on the president, and they found all of them and who actually did it except for the JFK?
Yeah. And there were supposedly there were 2 previous attempts on JFK that they caught wind of and avoided. All of which involving a motorcade. I think the first one was going to be in Chicago, and then they heard that there was going to be some sketchy characters there, so they canceled it. And then there was going to be another one down in Florida, same thing. There was a building that they were worried about that the motorcade had to make a slow turn by, and they're like, I don't know.
It's interesting they had him in that kind of vehicle where it's a convertible, and wide and open.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't see that anymore, do you?
Yeah. What'd you find on Oswald?
Well, here's something. Now, of course, it's Wikipedia. We can't trust this. But this is interesting, too, because you'll probably bring this up about the Dallas police officer, Marion L. Baker. According to investigations, after the Oswald covered the rifle with boxes and descended via the rear stairwell about 90 seconds after the shot sounded, he was encountered in the 2nd floor lunchroom by a Dallas police officer, Marion L. Baker, who was with Oswald's supervisor, Roy Truly.
Because Oswald worked at the building.
He worked there. So it wasn't weird that if he was in the building, he worked there. So Baker let Oswald pass after he identified him as an employee. Baker later said Oswald did not seem nervous or out of breath. Oswald looked startled when Baker pointed his gun directly at him.
Wait. So he was at work in the lunchroom having lunch, and they're like, there he is.
Yeah.
There's a guy that shot him.
Well, I think they're evacuating the building at this point. Once the shots were fired, everybody's getting out or doing something, right? Everybody's running down, getting out of here. Oswald was believed to have left the depository through the front entrance just before the police sealed it off. Truly later pointed out to officers that Oswald was the only employee that he was certain was missing. So they did a head count once everybody was out of the building. He's missing. About 12:40, 10 minutes after the shooting, Oswald boarded a city bus. Probably due to heavy traffic, he requested a transfer from the driver, got off 2 blocks later. Then he took a cab to his rooming house at 1026 North Beckley Avenue and entered the front door about 1 p.m. How do people know this? I don't know. According to his housekeeper, Earlene Roberts. Thank you. There's confirmation. Oswald immediately went to his room, walking pretty fast. Roberts said that Oswald left a few minutes later, zipping up his jacket he was not wearing when he entered earlier. As Oswald left, Roberts looked out the window of his house and last saw him standing at the northbound Beckley Avenue bus stop in front of her house. But where did they pick him up at? Keep going.
Okay. Yeah, so
he went home, left again.
Yep. So that's sort of
Oh, here it is. Texas. I knew it was a theater. Texas Theater. He ducked into the, there was a shoe store manager, Johnny Brewer, testified he saw Oswald ducking into the entrance alcove of his store. Suspicious of his activity, Brewer watched Oswald continue up the street and slip without paying into the nearby Texas Theater, where the film War is Hell was playing. Nailed it. He then alerted the ticket clerk, who then phoned the police. The police arrived. The house lights were brought up, and then they found Oswald sitting near the rear of the theater. And then the Nick McDonald testified he was the first to reach Oswald. Oswald seemed like ready to surrender, saying, "Well, it's all over now." That was a quote. McDonald said Oswald pulled out a pistol tucked in the front of his pants, pointed the pistol at him, pulled the trigger. McDonald said the pistol did not fire because the pistol's hammer came down on the webbing between the thumb and the index finger. My gosh, this dude didn't even know how to fire a weapon.
Yeah, didn't even know how to shoot a gun. So how did he? How did he shoot
What
JFK
the
and didn't know how
heck?
to shoot a gun.
So then he, as he grabbed for his pistol, McDonald said Oswald struck him, and then he struck back, and Oswald was disarmed, and then was led from the theater, and then Oswald shouted he was a victim of police brutality. And then Oswald was formally arraigned for the murder of Officer Tippit. Wait, did I miss something? Where's Tippit?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, here it is. Wait, let me go up here. Hold up. What's going on here? The Warren Commission concluded at 1:15, Dallas patrolman J.D. Tippit drove up his patrol car alongside Oswald, presumably because Oswald resembled the description of the man seen by witness Howard Brennan firing shots at the motorcade. How did Howard Brennan see Oswald 6 floors up shoot at a motorcade?
Good question.
He didn't.
He encountered Oswald at the corner of East 10th Street. This location is about 9/10 of a mile southeast of Oswald's rooming house, a distance that the Warren Commission concluded Oswald could have easily walked. Tippit pulled up alongside him, apparently exchanged words with him through the right front or vent window. Shortly after 1:15, Tippit exited his car. Oswald immediately fired his pistol and killed the policeman with 4 shots. Numerous witnesses heard the shot, saw Oswald fleeing the scene, holding a revolver. 9 positively identified him as the man who shot Tippit and fled.
Interesting.
4 cartridge cases were found at the scene, identified by expert witnesses. Before the Warren Commission is in the House Select Committee, having been fired from the revolver later found in Oswald's possessions, including all other weapons. The bullets taken from Tippit's body could not be positively identified as being fired from Oswald's revolver.
Of course.
What?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why couldn't y'all?
Well, we don't really know if it did or not.
Okay.
But
So, I mean, Tippit, he's dead. So he was charged with the murder of Tippit.
But we can't really be sure.
He was arraigned for the murder of Officer Tippit at 7 p.m.
Yeah, but they said that the bullets couldn't be 100% identified as
Right,
the gun.
I can't put that bullet as the gun that shot. Wow.
But we can assume.
Like he said, he was a patsy.
Yeah,
he said in the hallway, like you mentioned, he said, I didn't shoot anybody. They've taken me in because of the fact I live in the Soviet Union. I'm just a patsy.
Yeah.
Well, let's on that.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
On that note, he did live in the Soviet Union, and he did have ties to
the CIA.
CIA.
Yes.
CIA, Soviets. So there was a memorandum that was published from the Assistant Deputy Director, CIA, Acting Chief, Senior Division. It says,
That's a mouthful.
Yeah. According to the intercepted phone call in Mexico City, Lee Oswald had contact with the Soviet embassy when he on September 28th, 1963, where he spoke with a Soviet Vladimir Kotovich. Sure. Let's just go with that. This Soviet is identified as a KGB officer. He was a case officer in a operation which is evidently sponsored by the KGB. He's responsible and trained in sabotage and assassination. So Lee Oswald spoke with this gentleman numerous times, and there's phone records of him speaking with him on the phone. And he also was in Russia and the Soviet Union for quite a bit of time.
Yep.
So he did have ties to, weird people.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
But does that mean he committed the crime? No.
Yeah.
I mean, could they use
that? Yes.
Yes. To be like, oh,
absolutely.
Man, this is a perfect scapegoat for what we're trying to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, was he a CIA asset? How does his ties go with the CIA?
This is what I think. I think that he could have been, or he could have been on a watch list of doing suspicious activity, right, with the KGB. And they're say, wow, he's doing all this stuff, and he's, he might have plans or have some intentions for some kind of act, but we'll just use him for our gain and then dispose of him.
Yeah.
Without him even knowing.
Yeah, he thinks he's just doing us a service. Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff about him. So he was in the Marine Corps, and he was sent to one of the most secret U.S. bases in Atsugi, Japan. And and from there, the U.S. was conducting spy flights over communist China, and that might have been where he got hooked up with the intelligence agencies. And some weird stuff about him. He was involved with both pro-Castro and anti-Castro groups, and was possibly a double agent.
I didn't get that when I saw that information.
Right, yeah, because he was doing the only explanation is that he was some provocateur double agent that was working closely with intelligence agencies to get information from both sides.
Yeah.
So I'm pro Castro, trying to find out who else is pro.
Yeah. The people that knew him personally said that he was very pro-America though, but the Warren Commission painted him as a staunch communist, like Jason said, because he lived in the Soviet Union. So it's kind of weird because however, Oswald, when he was living in the Soviet Union, he changed his mind and wanted to come back to the U.S. and live. But this was during the Cold War, and whenever someone was moving back to the U.S. from Russia, there was always a debriefing conducted by the CIA, and basically the only discernible exception that they found to that process was Oswald. They didn't do that debriefing process. They just let him right back in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that strongly indicates there's an intelligence relationship there.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
I really do think so.
Yeah.
I mean, we should do that now. Debrief everybody that comes from Russia.
Right.
Yep.
And China.
Well, yeah, Chinese. Because you always need the bad guy.
Right.
The boogeyman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need a scapegoat.
So,
which is actually our Central Intelligence Agency.
Yes. And, basically all this stuff we laid out shows how bad the evidence was against Oswald, right? And if this went to court, I really don't think they would have found him guilty, but it was convenient that he didn't have to go to court because we mentioned a little while ago a guy named Jack Ruby. So a guy named Jack Ruby killed Lee Harvey Oswald 2 days after the assassination of JFK.
Yeah.
Conveniently.
And a little bit about him, he was a nightclub owner, and he was also allegedly a member of the Chicago Outfit, which, is like a mafia. And a letter from J. Edgar Hoover revealed that Ruby was actually an FBI informant as early as 1959.
Wow.
Yes. And
FBI informant.
Yeah, and it's on record that Ruby asked another FBI informant if he would like to, quote, watch the fireworks shortly before JFK was killed.
Do you know what we call FBI informants?
What?
Rats.
Yes.
Watch the fireworks.
Watch the fireworks. So it seems like he knew ahead of times. Yes.
Okay, so here's what's really strange. All of the evidence is already weird.
Mm-hmm.
So the Oswald shooting a cop, that's also weird. So that leads, and so he had a gun that day.
Yeah.
This leads me to believe that there was some kind of operation that he thought he was going to be involved in on this day. Why would you be walking around? I mean, you had to have the gun while you're in the bookstore, the book depository.
Yeah, he might
at lunch.
He might have been concealed carrying.
So I mean, and why shoot a cop?
Allegedly, though, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's true. That is alleged. We couldn't put the bullets, but But why? I mean, you pulled your okay. So I don't know if the story's true. When they picked him up at the theater, I pulled it out, and I'm like, I don't know how to shoot a gun. It hit my webbing.
Yeah, with all these crazy details, it's like
just,
we don't even know
I
what.
feel
We don't know
like
what really happened.
Yeah.
I mean, all this could be made up.
feel like I feel because he said he was a patsy.
Yep.
Yeah.
He said that. I think he thought, or they fed him something that day, that I want you to be a part of something.
Yeah.
I mean, why? He's just weird acting. I'm not saying he did it. I think he thought he was going to be part of something. And then when it went down, he had no idea that's what they were going to do.
That's exactly what I think happened.
And he was like, "Oh my gosh, they're going to pin this on me,
yeah, absolutely,
because of what they were trying to get me to do today."
Right. What they were trying to pin on me. Oh, it all makes sense right now. I didn't want.
I got to get out of here.
I got to get out of here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And they plan. I mean, that's what I think what happened.
that's absolutely what I think.
That's what I think too. And like the term patsy is like, the fall guy, the scapegoat.
Yeah,
it
we got to
seems
pin
like,
it on somebody.
Yeah, it seems like he was aware of a plan, and that he was referring to himself as a patsy in his own words. Kind of makes it seem like that was the case, right? So
yeah, I don't know if he knew that there was a plot to assassinate the president, and he was going to be in. Maybe they fed him, hey, until like, be ready. We think there's going to be an attempt. You need to do X, Y, Z for us to make sure it doesn't happen. That kind of thing. Of course, it's all speculation, but
yeah.
It's better than a rifle that doesn't match a photo and 3 shell casings you can't find slugs for.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Mine's better than that.
Yeah. Let's talk about the autopsy too, because that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So the autopsy, a lot of weird stuff happened. So Kennedy's body should have been autopsied in Dallas, according to Texas law. And a guy named Earl Rose, who's the chief medical examiner and a forensic pathologist at Parkland Hospital, was there to assume jurisdiction and to do the autopsy. And he said that he was threatened, held up against a wall with hands on guns. And
are you serious?
Yeah, and then they illegally took Kennedy's body out of Texas to Washington.
Why do you have to push a guy? I'm just trying to do my job.
Yeah, I think
you're throwing me against the wall.
Yeah, because they brought him to the hospital to try and save his life, and then this guy's like, okay, I'll perform the autopsy. He's dead. And then all of a sudden, all this happens. Crazy stuff.
Are you telling me he got to the hospital, he was still alive?
No. But they have to try and save his life. I think he was probably dead on arrival, but they probably.
I think somebody said there was brains all over the car.
Yeah, there was.
Okay. They said that she actually tried to go to the back and pick up a piece of his brain.
Yeah, I think she did do that. Yeah. You can see that on the Zapruder film.
I don't know. I think I could do that.
I don't know.
Just dying for a piece of brain.
Yeah, it's super stressful.
Yeah, you don't know what you're going to do in that situation.
Pure
anyway.
adrenaline.
Anyway, so they put him up against the wall. We're taking the body.
Yes. So they got him out of Texas and went to Washington. And 2 doctors actually at Parkland Hospital, Dr. Malcolm Perry and Dr. Kemp Clark, they were the ones that tried to save Kennedy's life. Both of them stated that the neck wound was actually an entrance wound and that the exit wound was on the right rear of Kennedy's head. And 40 people have said the exact same thing. All the people that saw the body there said that was exactly what they thought as well. A big 3x5 opening on the back of his head.
Yeah, that's definitely an exit wound. Because when the bullet comes out, it's bigger than when it comes in. Yeah.
Yes. But anyway,
But is that normal to go through the neck and then come out the head?
I mean, when you think of the angle, it's almost like the gun was down.
Oh, snap.
Going up. So
Okay, so if you like shoot me, the bullet trajectory is going to keep going out the back. It's not going to go curve up, right?
Right.
Okay.
I mean, unless it hit something, like if it
like
hit
a bone, like
if it hit a bone. But I mean,
and I guess it depends on
exited his skull.
and it depends on the bullet too and the gun.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's a little strange though that they said, hey, this is an entry wound, and then there's an okay. So I never thought about that.
Yep.
You could go straight up and go out the top of the head.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what if the gun right there was in the car?
Well,
yeah, not the top of the head, the right rear. So, but it is still going up from the neck.
Yeah. So one of the theories is that somebody was in the sewer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and right where the rain drainage.
I heard the line of sight wasn't good for that theory.
I don't know. Maybe
I've heard that as well. I've heard that theory. I've heard that.
What about the guy in the car?
I heard one of the people in the front seat turned.
Couldn't you do that? Well, wait a minute. Look, does that film, does Zapruder film?
Does it show it clearly?
Does he turn around?
I don't know. We could
right at that shot?
We could watch that and see if we can see anything. But anyway. I know some people have said they think that that's what they see.
All right.
But anyway, the autopsy was performed at Bethesda Medical Center, which is a naval...
Hey, I was stationed there.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, a naval institution. And all of the top forensic pathologists in the United States were actually within a 1-hour drive or flight to D.C., and not one of them were called upon to perform the autopsy. And instead what they did is they had 2 Navy pathologists, Dr. Thornton Boswell and Dr. James Humes, that had actually never conducted a gunshot wound autopsy in their entire careers. Those guys were tasked
That
with
makes
it.
sense.
Yeah. So here...
They should have got Scully.
Yeah, so here we have multiple gunshot wounds where we have to determine angle, trajectory, range, sequence, and you have to correlate those findings with the multiple gunshot wounds in Connolly, and we have 2 guys that have never done a gunshot wound autopsy. This is a major task that would have required like 2 or 3.
Oh, for sure.
Like top forensic pathologists to undertake.
And we had people within an hour away that these people could have done this.
State law. The law said you needed to do it in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And they
broke the law.
They broke the law. They said, nah, we're good.
Yeah. Well, how does the Warren Commission, did they ever discuss this about, hey, we broke the law? Sorry about that?
I don't think so. I think they don't care about that.
No.
I think they were just one-track minded. And
where was the governor from?
Texas.
No, well, shouldn't he have stepped up? I mean, he's the one that got shot.
Oh, no. Yeah, was he from? Yeah, he was.
Shouldn't he have stepped up and said, "Hey, wait a minute, you just broke my law in Texas"?
Yeah, they had.
Maybe he was in on it.
No, I think
he was probably in the hospital and didn't know about it until after the fact.
I'm just so shocked that none of this came up. You know how people go, "Oh, we're doing a lawsuit because y'all broke the law," and we want answers. Anyway, that didn't happen.
So here, getting into some of the weird details of this autopsy. So in the examination room, while they're looking at his JFK's dead body, there was actually a gallery set up. So 3 rows of bleachers that were full. And people in the gallery were basically telling the doctors what they could and could not do. Yeah. So
who were these people?
Like intelligence agency people and stuff. Yeah. So 2 FBI agents that were actually present for the autopsy, Frank O'Neill and James Seibert, remarked on the controversial autopsy photos that people have seen, and we can get into that. When shown the autopsy photographs of JFK's head, they said that they didn't see anything like that at the autopsy, and they even went as far as to say it looked like the head had been put back together by embalmers and then photographed. And like I said before, 40 witnesses corroborated their claims of having seen a large exit wound on the right rear of Kennedy's head.
Right.
Because the photographs that they showed of the autopsy, there was no, it's like they closed the flap that was on the back of the head. So it didn't look like that because they're trying to, go with this magic bullet theory of it, going through
the back of the head. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and neither one of those guys were asked to testify for the Warren Commission, and their written notes that became classified, and we got those.
There's no need.
Yeah, and we got those in the 90s as part of the Declassification Act.
The uncovering.
Yes. Yep. And even weirder, Dr. Humes destroyed his autopsy notes allegedly because Kennedy's blood had splattered on it, and he didn't want it to become like an object of morbid curiosity or something. Isn't that weird?
What?
Yeah, you would never destroy your notes if you're, doing an autopsy, but he did.
Well, I mean, he wasn't an expert either.
Yeah.
One of the non-expert guys.
Yep. So a lot of weird stuff happened. There was also Kennedy's brain. There was like a photograph of Kennedy's brain.
I heard that they got another brain.
Yeah.
And took pictures of it.
Yeah. So if you think
it was full. There was no missing pieces.
Right. And it was also gray too.
It's been preserved.
Yeah, like it was sitting in formaldehyde for weeks. Because your brain should be pink. This was taking place right after he got assassinated. They flew him out of Texas and brought him to Bethesda. So yeah, his brain should have been pink, and it was gray and intact. And when you look at like where the gunshot took place, through the neck, out the back of the head, some nurses and doctors and stuff, they all said that like when they looked at his body, like brain was like falling out of the back into a bucket that they had on the floor.
Didn't you say that his wife actually picked up
Yes.
some of the brain in the car.
Yeah.
In the car.
So like you can see in the Zapruder film after the final shot takes place where you can see his head go back and you can see splatter, basically. She, starts.
And there were photographs of brain in the car.
There were, yes. And you can see her like go back on the car and like grab something. And people say that was a chunk of his brain that was just on the trunk of the limousine. She just grabbed it and gave it to somebody. I don't know.
But we've got a gray full brain.
Full brain.
Yeah, full gray brain that was not his. I mean, they're in a medical center, so I'm sure it was very easy to come up upon another brain. And again, they started with a conclusion and they're working their way backward. So, they're glossing over details. They're lying about things. It's crazy, dude. So, yeah. And, that's basically the whole story that we've told at a high level at this point.
It sounds from start to finish. We're going to assassinate the president.
Yeah.
And we need to make sure that we control the narrative.
Yeah.
Even, from the bullets to the autopsy, we're going to fly them out of here. We need to move quick on this, because if anybody starts digging into this, immediately we're going to get uncovered.
Right. Yes, exactly. So, yeah, let's get into why. So you mentioned at the beginning of the podcast the why.
Yeah, why?
Why would you kill a sitting president?
Yeah, what's the purpose?
Who's see, and then you've got to go.
Rich?
Then you've got to go. Okay, is there one person or is it an organization, cabal, deep state,
Illuminati?
Yeah. Who is to gain?
Yep. So we know that Kennedy made some enemies in high places. So it was well known that Kennedy said that he was going to break the CIA into 1,000 pieces. Basically, he was going to disestablish the CIA.
There's number one.
So the CIA is very important. If we're talking about deep state, it's very important to them because it's secretive by nature with very little oversight. So they love it. And so he was going to do that. Another thing is Operation Northwoods. So that was something that, made it all the way to Kennedy's desk. And basically what that said is basically to allow a false flag to take place. And I think the example they used in Northwoods was flying a drone airliner with nobody on it over Cuban airspace and basically blow it up. And say that it was shot down by, Cuban ships or something. And use that as a pretext to start a war.
We could invade Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay.
Because this is at the same time that like the Bay of Pigs and stuff is going on. Yeah. So they were going to use that. And he said no. He said, no, we're not going to do that. So he said no to Operation Northwoods. And that probably made the entire...
I'm surprised they asked him.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they did too.
So, I mean, that obviously probably angered the entire military-industrial complex that had their own agenda behind all these things. And... weirdly enough, after the assassination, and there was an event called the Gulf of Tonkin incident. This is when Lyndon B. Johnson was president. The entire U.S. involvement with the Vietnam War came from that event, and it's proven to be a false flag.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, we said the North Vietnamese, basically blew up one of our ships, but when you look into it, that didn't happen that way.
Yeah.
So did that just find its way to LBJ's desk after that, and he signed yes?
So wait, so they said that the North Vietnamese people blew up one of our naval ships.
Yes. Yeah.
So I thought we were in bed or trying to help out the South.
Yeah.
Because was there an invasion and we
like
into the South, like North was
North
invading South? And then they blew up a ship and said, "Okay, we'll get involved in this."
Right.
And now we're going to go push you back to the north.
Kind of like Desert Storm, where they said,
"You're right."
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
History.
Like somebody invaded. Oh, we're going to help you out. Funny we didn't help Ukraine out.
Isn't that something?
Funny we didn't help push you back.
Yeah.
Vladimir.
Because we were helping under Kennedy, we were helping the South Vietnamese in a similar way to like what we're doing with Ukraine right now. We were providing them aid, but we were not like doing like...
Don't get involved.
Yeah,
were we?
Yeah,
I didn't realize
no boots
that.
on the ground or anything like that.
Just money.
Right. And probably supplies and things like that.
Now, I don't know if it's confirmed. I'll have to find this out. Maybe, pick it up on another episode. But I heard Johnson had ties with weapons companies, which...
I've heard that too.
Which would... Profits.
Right.
When you go to war, somebody's going to profit.
Big time.
Big time. And then here's another question. Since he shut that down with Cuba, why did that not ever happen? You know what I'm saying? Why did we go to Vietnam? Why didn't we still do the Cuba thing?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. Maybe there's more money to be made over there for the military-industrial complex.
Yeah, and thousands of senseless deaths.
Yeah, like 60,000
of Americans. Yeah. It's just and people are like that war. I don't even think that was a war. It was a conflict, and it was just ridiculous because we didn't do anything,
right?
But kill young boys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
just send them to a meat grinder.
Yeah,
for the most part, they were probably over there going, I don't even know what I'm doing here.
Yeah,
what am I doing? I'm going to take this hill. Okay. Yeah. I don't even know the purpose.
Yeah, it's 60,000 American lives and like 1 million Vietnamese. So, yeah, just a huge senseless thing.
Well, does that wrap it up? Do we get to the bottom of it? I think it's CIA, Secret Service.
Yeah, I do too.
I think so as well. And,
I think they assassinated the president.
Is there anything else that we wanted to put under the why? So, his opposition to the CIA and his opposition to Operation Northwoods.
I think that would be the why. And then was there any mafia? I've always heard the mafia ties.
No. Jack Ruby. Yeah. Or are you talking?
I heard that Kennedy had enemies with the mafia because he was trying to do something with them, shut like unions or something, shutting stuff down, and they didn't like it. And the CIA, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
That's a why. There, I just think the CIA is a good why. Let's get this man out of here. That's just weird. Why not just why kill the guy?
I think it was an introduction to what.
Isn't that weird? Hey, let's kill the guy.
True, but I think it was an introduction of what the CIA can do. Like they wanted to see if we could do this, then we can.
Well, why didn't they kill Trump?
We can topple governments.
Why didn't they kill Trump then? He seems 50 times worse, hated than Kennedy.
I don't know.
Maybe their agenda is better with him alive.
Maybe.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Maybe he's in bed with them, and it's just a ruse.
Mm-hmm.
It's not left against right. It's just a distraction
for what's going on.
Yeah. It's just a distraction. Hey, let's keep them going left and right.
That's true. He is super polarizing, so he would be,
When they were doing the Russian gate, with Trump,
yeah.
Then they released like weeks later the UFO declassified files. Remember that?
Did they?
Yeah. As a distraction.
Yeah. See, it's all theater, dude.
Yeah, it's all theater.
It is
just to keep us going.
Yeah, but yeah, I think
that's about the why for me. Did you have any other whys?
No, I think that is the big why. I think we covered
that documentary we watched, the Revisited, Through the Looking Glass.
Mm-hmm.
There was a Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Yeah.
What is that? His brother that was on camera.
So Robert F. Kennedy was his brother.
That's his brother.
He was also assassinated, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He was. You didn't hear about that? RFK was killed too. Yeah, RFK was killed as well. He was.
No.
Yeah, he was killed at like a rally or something.
No, who was on the film? He was an older guy. Was that him?
RFK Jr.
He's dead that I saw on the film?
No, he's alive. That's RFK's son.
That was the son?
Yeah. So
I didn't know that.
So his uncle is JFK.
Oh, wow. This Kennedy family.
And who was that? Which Kennedy was it? The one that plane?
I heard that was his son.
Was that his son?
Yeah, I think that was a takedown.
I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot with the Kennedy family.
Yeah, what's going on?
I don't know.
There's Ted Kennedy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's a bunch of them. There's a ton of them.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we got to the bottom of it, It seems like CIA ties for sure involved.
Definitely. And I'll give it. Wait. I didn't do that today. Thank you. That's for Mike. Yeah, CIA, definitely. And I think the Secret Service was involved as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, how else could you pull that off? That thing with the neck thing and the blow out of the head, I think that was from the front seat. Whoever that guy, you said is James Greer.
Yeah, let me get his name for you. Yeah, William Greer was driving, and Roy Kellerman was the guy in the front seat. So maybe one of those two.
I think so.
Secret Service
Let's
agents.
go pick them up. What's funny is they released all these files. A lot of these people are dead, right? The Warren Commission?
I believe so.
They should be held accountable.
They should. It was a huge cover-up they were a part of.
They won't, though.
Yeah.
They won't. All right.
Yep.
Well, that's it. Thanks for listening to Let's Get to the Bottom of That JFK edition. There's probably tons more to discuss. Don't forget, next week we start our series of secret societies. That's our first 2023 show. We're going to kick it off with the Masons.
The Masons.
We're going to kick that off. So who wants to go today? I'm going to say who wants
Let's
the
give it to
hit?
Jason.
Jason again? Okay, tune in next week and you might hear Jason say,
what doesn't kill you makes you stranger.
oh, I like that.
Okay.
Yes.